Okay, welcome back to the start of another reading vlog. I'm currently out on my balcony. I think I mentioned in the last vlog that I did that there's going to be a huge typhoon coming to Fukuoka, and today is the day it's supposed to arrive. It's still kind of early afternoon, but it's pretty dark. The wind is starting to pick up a little bit, but it's supposed to arrive around midnight tonight. So all of the preparations, have taken place. We've taped our windows so that any direct, 180 miles per hour winds won't just smash our windows super easily. We've done kind of all that we can do. So I'm at the point now where I'm just ready to relax and kind of settle in for the long haul and read. This is going to specifically be a reading vlog, unlike my last vlog, which is more of a life vlog. Currently, I am reading Redwall for the buddy read that I am co-hosting with JJ over on The Bearded Bookworm. I will put a card up above. This read-along takes place all through September. We're gonna have a live show on the 27th. So I've started reading the book this week. I think I'm about 50 pages into the book thus far. And because it's, geared towards children, it's much of a quicker read, but I am loving being back in the world so far. I forgot just how fire the food descriptions are. Like every time I read about a feast, I'm hungry. The atmosphere is also really well done. Brian Jakes does a really good job of describing where his characters live. And so I'm really enjoying those aspects of it, very immersive. Because it's written for kids, the characters are kind of archetypes. So, it's not hard to figure out who's bad or who's good. It's pretty spelled out for you, but that just comes with books geared towards younger readers, so I wouldn't dock off points for that. I'm excited to kind of get into the meat of it. So the main character, Matthias, is about to go on his journey, his warrior's journey, in order to protect his home. And I'm really excited to see how Jax pulls it off, because honestly, I don't remember. Besides that, I am still waiting for Jade City. Or not Jade City, Jade War. It still hasn't come in the mail. I am dying to get it. I was really hoping it would arrive before the typhoon hit, but, understandably so, the postal, office has shut down. So I probably won't be getting it until after this blows through. So I won't have that to read physically. But I never got to A Song of Wraiths and Ruin last month, so that's a possibility. Or I might pick up one of the sequels that you saw in my September TBR, since this is a sequel-based month. Or if I feel like picking up science fiction, I might pick one of those up. I'm in a physical reading mood. It's not an ebook reading mood or anything, so I might aim for something I have physically, but we'll see. So I'll check back in later, whether it's just reading progress or if it's, shots of the storm rolling through. I'll keep you guys updated. Hey, just a quick update. So the arrival time has moved to 4 a.m. The wind is pretty calm right now. I mean, if I look at the time, it's what, 9 o'clock, so we have a long time before it arrives. But yeah, the arrival time has moved to 4, so we were gonna try to stay up for it, but I don't know if that's gonna happen now. But I'll keep you guys updated as long as I'm awake. Okay, so it is the day after the typhoon, and I'm happy to say that our area and everything around us did not sustain any major damages. Our house is fine. Taping the windows worked. They were rattling at some points and it was questionable, but nothing broke. There were some areas a little bit farther away from my house where roofs were ripped off and some trees fell over. But in my immediate area, things seem to be fine, which is honestly a blessing, and I feel so lucky. So the fact that that has passed is really a big stress reliever. So in that time, I did read some more Redwall. This book is a book that I adored as a child. Not just this book, but the series. I'm not sure how many books are in the series in total, but it's over 20, I know. And I adored this series as a child. I even did like group, like school projects on it because I loved it so much. So I had these nostalgic feels for it, and I figure as fall comes along and it becomes more cozy reading weather, I wanted to pick up something a little more comforting. And JJ also had those, you know, nostalgic feelings associated with this book. So we decided to pick it up. I haven't read this for probably 12, 13 years at least, and I didn't remember details from this at all. I just remembered the general idea and kind of the feelings it gave me. So the main character is Matthias, and he lives in Redwall, which is an abbey. And the people who live within the abbey are sworn to peace. So if anyone wears the habit from the abbey, no one will harm them, and they take a vow never to harm anyone else, except in self-defense. And this gigantic evil rat named Clooney the Scourge comes to attack Redwall, and it requires the creatures within, including Matthias, to change their tactics and maybe go to war a little bit. So far, the atmosphere is wonderful. The way he describes the nature around Redwall and the nature within Redwall is comforting, cozy, just wonderful. You can touch it, you can taste it, it's great. However, there are a couple inconsistencies that I just kind of bother me when I'm reading the book. For example, as I mentioned earlier, the woodland creatures that live in Redwall are generally peaceful. So they're not trained in wartime tactics, wartime skills at all, even though they might have fighting skills. And there's this one point where Matthias, who is very young, randomly shows this knowledge of battle prowess, where one character accidentally shows that they don't know how to fight. And Matthias is like, oh, now Clooney knows he's dealing with untrained woodland creatures. Like, what a shame. It's such a shame we messed up. And I'm like, that doesn't fit this character at all. Like, why would he be trained in military tactics? Why would he be thinking so deviously when nothing in his life so far has shown that? And nothing Jax has shown so far has shown that he has that knowledge. So it's not necessarily like nitpicking, I don't think. I think it's a couple character inconsistencies. Besides those little character inconsistencies though, this book is pretty stellar. I'm really enjoying it. I'm blowing through it pretty quickly. I would hope so. I am on page, I just dropped my bookmark, 96, and it's the end of the first book. So the book is separated into 3 different sections called books. So the first section is now done. So I'm looking forward to the second section. The first section is called The Wall, and it's kind of been the establishment of the world, and I think that was the main focus of this section. So the next section is called The Warrior, and I believe that is when Matthias goes on his becoming a warrior journey, and I'm really excited to read about that. For now, though, that's all that I've read. I do plan to pick up the Sword of Kaigen tonight before I go to bed, because I had read a good chunk of Redwall earlier today. So we'll see how far I get in that before I pass out, but I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. Night. Okay, I just rode my bike home from work, so ignore the rosy cheeks that we have going on here, but I thought I would update you guys before I go to bed tonight. I read up to about 10% in the Sword of Kaigen. I was at 3% before, so I think I'm around page 65. And I'm at the part in kind of every fantasy book where You just kind of have to jump into the world. You know, the author is giving me information I'm going to need later, but it's a little info dumpy at the moment. So I'm kind of getting a crash course in the historical context of this world, which I'm assuming is going to be used a lot later to talk about the motivations for the war that's coming up and why different nations go to war. So I'm kind of in the info dumpy section of that, but it is starting to sink in, and I'm starting to recognize, you know, group names and things like that in this world. There's also been a very frank and good discussion already of the xenophobic and kind of nationalistic aspects of the country that our main characters are from. And it's very reminiscent of how a lot of the far-right groups in Japan act and what they have to say. I can't speak for other parts of Asia, but it's clear from the names and the fact that this is an island nation in the book that a lot of the influences are Japanese. And what the author has had to say so far is not incorrect for those who are on the far right. So I'm kind of appreciating like almost the call-out culture that's been done and the fact that this mentality is already being scrutinized by other characters. So I'm loving that so far. Because of that, I can imagine that the politics in this world will be very well blended into the rest of the world. So I'm looking forward to that. As I'm still really early in the book, I haven't fallen in love with any of the characters yet, but I'm really liking how they're being developed and who they seem to be. So I'm intrigued. I'm interested to read further. Tonight I'm going between whether I'll pick up Redwall or The Sword of Kaigen before bed, but we'll see. Also, I didn't mention this in my previous clip, but I did finally finish the audiobook for The Way of Kings. The Way of Kings, 5 fantastic stars. I mentioned before in my previous vlogs that I was loving the audiobook experience because I already knew the world, and so I was just jumping back into a world that I already know and that I already love, and it was just a fantastic experience overall. I love the character work and the world building that Sanderson does in this first book. My favorite characters are by far Rock and Lopin. Those 2 characters, this book would not be the same without them. And maybe Wit. Maybe those 3. None of them are main characters, but I love the journeys that we were taken on. I love Bridge 4 even more the second time reading about them. And Dalinar's redemption arc, not a spoiler, it's pretty well known he has a redemption arc, is very well set up in this book. I've only read Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer 1 time each, and those were all, I think, over a year ago at this point. So, based on my memory, Words of Radiance was my favorite from the 3, and I'm really excited to see if that's still correct. I do have the physical copy, and I could pick it up that way, but because I enjoyed the audiobook of Way of Kings so much, I kind of want to continue with the audiobook for Words of Radiance. We'll see what mood I'm in when I actually pick it up, though. So, the fact that I finally finished The Way of Kings means that hopefully Words of Radiance will be somewhere within my vlogs for this month. Okay guys, so I just got back from walking home from work. It's raining outside and a little bit windy, and it was a so-so work day, so I wasn't feeling the best. And then I came home to a package, and I cannot wait. So I have this beautiful, thick book depository package waiting for me. This is either Jade City or Jade War, and it's finally here. I've waited probably 3 weeks for this. I think Jade War shipped first, so that's what this should be. But knowing Book Depository and how timing never makes sense, it could be Jade City. So I'm kind of hoping for Jade War because I want to crack it open tonight. But I'm also kind of hoping for Jade City because then I can film my review. Because I'm weird and I've decided I don't want to do my review unless I have the physical copy. So, let's see. I'm so excited either way. Anyone who's watched my channel at all recently knows this is like my new favorite series. Let's see. It's Jade War. gosh, I am so happy to have this in my hands. Oh my god, this is what I needed today. Plain black, Jade War on the side with Miss Lee's name. Fonda Lee, you have created a world that I went into it not expecting. I mean, I expected to like it, but I didn't expect for it to just take over my life. And it has. And I'm obsessed with this. I'm in the middle of The Sword of Kaigen, and I don't want to stop because I'm finally gonna roll with that book, but also, those of you who live internationally and can't just go to a store and pick up books will know the joy of finally getting a book that you want on your shelf. So I'm gonna need to find space on that top shelf again, which I just recently reorganized. There is literally no room. So I'm gonna have to kick something off, unfortunately. And then when Jade City comes in, or Jade War comes in, I gotta fit that on too. My books and I are gonna have a heart-to-heart to see who's gonna make room for this. But my day was just completely made. I cannot wait to crack into this. Be on the lookout for updates on Twitter once I start this. Okay guys, so this vlog has just become chaos. I honestly don't know how long it's been since I checked in. I think I checked in when I first got Jade War. This is gonna end up being a vlog of like 2, maybe even 2.5 weeks overall. But my life has just been crazy in a lot of really good ways. So right now I'm at the park. I have an appointment at the American Consulate today. So I got here early. I'm just hanging out at a park, and I have the ebook of The Sword of Kaigen with me. I'm now, how far into this am I? I think I'm about 30, no, way more than 30%. 40% maybe through this book now. 40% is not way more than 30. You get what I'm saying. About 40% through this book, and I'm really enjoying it. There are some aspects of it that are not my favorite, like the pacing is a bit off for me, and it's a bit info dumpy in the way that the world is explained and like who's at war with who, but the character work is fantastic, and that's starting to pay off now because the characters are now in danger. So I'm invested in that danger that they're in. So I'm ready to, you know, keep going with this book. It's just starting to really pick up and get good. So I'm gonna read for about an hour at the park, and then I'm gonna go to my appointment. I also did some reading sprints with Tammy over on Tammy Tries to Read yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. And I should have been reading The Sword of Kaigen, but as you saw in my last clip, Jade War came in and I couldn't help myself. So during that sprint session, I started that book. And I really shouldn't have, because I'm in the middle of like 4 books now, and then I got 3 books from the library that I plan to read, and there's no way I'm gonna read them before I have to return them. It's a mess, but I couldn't help myself. And I was sucked immediately into the world. I love the Greenbone Saga so much. So I'm just only, I think, about 40 pages into that book, 50 pages. So just at the beginning, but I'm loving it so much already. But it's a huge hardback. So I tend to keep my hardbacks at home for like when I'm at home reading, and then ebooks or smaller library books that I get to read when I'm out. I'm still reading Redwall. I am pacing myself to be able to discuss in the Discord with people, which, you know, my life's been just insane the past couple weeks, so I haven't been keeping up with my Discord. So I'm sorry if you're watching this and you were in them. I will get better at that starting this week. But I'm kind of pacing that book to be able to discuss it throughout the month. So I am in the second section of that book, and I'm really, really enjoying it because for what it is, it's really well done. You know, I remember why I loved it as a child. The characters are definitely archetypes, so they don't really surprise you. But there's a lot of riddles and mystery, and it was, I remember the feeling of discovering it when I was little. The riddles, of course, easier to figure out when you're older, but yeah, it's just cute. The food descriptions are still fire. Really enjoying it. But I'll check back in with you guys when I get home, or if I have thoughts while I'm reading. while I've sat here, I've amassed quite a friend group. This crow right here seems to be eyeing me. Maybe I have something shiny that he likes. He's been scooting closer for the past like 10 minutes. I also got a cat friend. Neko-chan. Maybe my bike's warm. Okay, now that I'm done being a Disney princess, attracting all the animals to me, I'm gonna head to my appointment, but I just finished the first battle scene in The Sword of Kaigen, and I'm starting to get the hype about this book. That fight scene was phenomenal. The way that the characters wield their magical powers as well as their non-magical weapons was so well integrated. My heart was beating fast. There were certain like moves that the characters did that were described so well I could see it in my head. Like that would make a fantastic like anime or graphic novel or manga, like some of those fighting scenes. So well done. The descriptions were beautiful. So I'm really starting to see the writing shine. And I was really afraid that one of my babies was gonna die. We're only at a break in the fighting. They're gonna have round 2 soon, I think. But I'm still concerned that one of my babies is gonna die. We'll see. But yeah, I'm about to head to my appointment, so I'll update you guys later, but loved that. That section of this book was full 5 stars. Okay guys, so my appointment is over and I'm just kind of hanging out at the park a little longer because it's such a beautiful day. So I thought I would just, you know, take a walk and show you guys. Where I am is a place called Ohori Park, and it's pretty famous in Fukuoka. It's kind of like the city center like park, the big park, and there's a beautiful lake. So I'll just go ahead and turn you guys around while I take a little bit of a walk and you can get some view of the scenery. Over there is the Fukuoka Fukuoka Art Museum, I think. They were renovating it up until last year, so I actually haven't been there. Might be nice to check it out. So I'm kind of walking through the center, like there's a center path that kind of cuts through the lake, but over where the art museum was, and then I can show you maybe in a break in these trees. People are taking the paddle boats out today, swan paddle boats. The park actually consists of an entire like path that goes in a circle around the lake. So over here there's a Starbucks actually, and then if we look to the left over here, you can rent paddle boats from this area, and there's a cafe there. So it's one of my favorite places in Fukuoka. I used to come here more before I moved to my new house, but I still love coming here. It's got such a nice feel to it, and when you're in this center area, it doesn't feel like you're in a city at all. So I love to come here once the weather, you know, whether it's spring or fall, when the weather is not too hot, not too cold, and read outside. Coming up on the left here, we have this kind of like pagoda thing that sticks out, and I see people taking wedding photos here quite often. And there's usually young people, I say young people like I'm a grandma, maybe I am at this point, taking pictures here. I guess there are people doing it right now. We're gonna have to annoy them by getting in their photo shoot a little bit, but There's also koi fish in the water, but can't see any near here at the moment. Taking the bridge off the center area. See if we can spot some koi. They like to hang around here usually, because I guess this is where people throw off food for them. But I'm sure just because I'm filming, there'll be none. Spotted some turtles. No koi yet. They're sunning themselves a little bit. Got some ducks over there. They tend to gather like at this side of the bridge because that's where people feed them. Ooh, I see some koi. Here we are, another turtle friend. And there they are. Where they know they can get the food, the good. There's a lot of them. Man, that is a big ass koi fish. Okay guys, so there's a Pinkberry frozen yogurt here at the park. I decided to treat myself, so I just got a regular original flavor with some toppings. My favorite one is this one here. It's called gyuhi, and if you guys know mochi, it's like mochi, but for a topping. It's like a small like rice cake paste, and it's delicious with the original flavor of the frozen yogurt. So I'm gonna treat myself. I'm sitting outside at the deck, eat this frozen yogurt and get some reading done. It's a good day so far. Okay, so my baby didn't die, but one of my favorite characters just died. And I didn't know how attached I was to these characters until I was tearing up in public here after that death. I care about these characters pretty clearly now. Oh man, I kept from actually shedding a tear, but I did tear up. But the fight scenes are phenomenal. I'm so impressed. I can visualize them perfectly. Some of the moves are just so cool. That's where this book shines. I cannot wait to read more. Listen. I just read up to 53% in Sword of Kaien, and I may or may not have shed some tears. I didn't stop to catch them because I was so into the story, but believe me, they arrived. Some of the deaths that occur in this book I expected, but that didn't make them hurt any less. And the way that Wang wrote them was painful. You know, I mentioned earlier that Wang really shines with character work and with battles. And that's exactly what just happened for the last, 100 pages of this book. Was character work coming to fruition and battles. And it was fantastic, but I had to put it down right now because, I need a minute to just breathe, let my heart breathe, because fucking ouch. I mean, people say that this book will destroy you. And it's already made me shed tears and I'm 50% through. So I'm scared and also excited to see what comes next, because now that kind of that band-aid's been ripped off, so to say, I'm interested to see what the characters who we still have, what they will do. So, yeah. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit in shock because it's just, Wang did not pull any punches with that whole section of the book. So that's pretty much where I am. It's 11:30 at night and I'm really tired. So I kind of don't want to go to sleep on this note. So I might read more, or I might pick up Redwall and read something a little lighter for a chapter or two and then pick it up in the morning. But I read, about 200 pages today of the Sword of Kaien, so I'm pretty proud of myself in between everything else that I did, so god damn. Yeah, All right, I'll check back in with you guys in the morning because I'm gonna go to bed now. But yeah, night. Okay guys, so we finally got the book mail that we've all been waiting for. This package can be nothing other than Jade City. So let's finally open this and see this baby in person. I've waited a month maybe, for this to arrive. Whoop! I've already read it, but I can't wait to read it again and tab it. Whoa! Oh! Oh! Da, 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 da. Here she is! Oh my goodness, she is gorgeous. But you know what's interesting is Jade War was like a shiny cover. This one is matte. That's gonna bother me. Well, for now, I'm just really, really happy to have these both physically. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Yay! Oh. I kind of like how the naked cover is gray with just like a minimalist, like Jade City on the side. I kind of like that. That's unique. So yeah, I'm so happy to finally have this. If you guys don't know, on my channel, this is like my favorite book that I've read in the last several months. I'm obsessed with it, so I'm just so happy to have it in person so I can read it again physically and then tab it up, because usually I don't highlight ebooks, especially if they're from my library, but I highlighted the crap out of this book. So I'm definitely going to be rereading this. I don't know if I can get to it this year. I'm gonna make sure I can get to it this year, honestly, because I want to have my copy all tabbed. But just because I'm anal about things, you know, as I mentioned, this is a beautiful matte cover, but the Jade War is a shiny cover, and I'm just a perfectionist when it comes to my physical collection, so I'm gonna have to look into whether they're like a different ISBN like series or something, so I can make sure that they match eventually. But either way, I'm just so happy to have this. Look forward to that review on my channel soon, now that I have this. Okay guys, so I've been reading some more of The Sword of Kaigen. I'm now 75% through, and I really am enjoying this story, but there's something that just happened between two characters where one of them can he can go fuck right off. Like, essentially there's a character in this that, I'm not gonna say who, but that appears to me to be the adult version of sad boy with a bad past, so it's okay to be a crappy person. So that when that reveal happened, I was like, ooh, yeah, not a fan of that. And, you know, other characters are like, oh, I get you now. And I'm like, no. So that particular aspect of it, I'm not a fan of right now. But when it comes to how well the characters have been developed, the fact that I was that invested to be this upset or angry about it is a good sign. So like I said, the character work really is well done here. This is a very heartbreaking book. I mean, I was warned about it, but I have shed tears twice reading this. There are some of the writing style, some points to the writing style that I'm not a fan of. Personally, but the story itself is really good. So I can see why people love this, and you know, I'm loving it too. I have about 30% left to go. I did, like I said, shed a tear once or twice. The one time was at work, so if you do pick this book up, just proceed with caution, you know, if you're reading it in a public place. But I am interested to see what happens until the end of this book, because honestly, I don't know, which is nice. Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen after this. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this ends. We'll see if it gets a few more tears out of me along the way, but really enjoyable, just really heavy hitting. Okay, so I just finished The Sword of Kaigen, finally, on my Kindle as an ebook. And I'm sure you guys could tell from the scenes earlier in this vlog that the middle section, like when I was at the park and reading, was fantastic. A full 5 stars. Like, I was glued to the pages and the fighting scenes were just top notch. But the beginning of this book and then the end weren't really it for me. There were some character arcs that I wasn't a huge fan of in the end. And, you know, I am fine with books that focus on the aftermath of battles, but this aftermath seemed to kind of drag a bit. So it was like a 5-star book in the middle, kind of bookended by like a 3-star book for me. There were a couple of other elements that affected my enjoyment, one of those being the representation of Japanese culture in here. The main characters in this book are very obviously Japanese, and there were a lot of elements that were done really well in that regard, but some elements continuously took me out of the story. Like, you know, most of the book takes place in this country, so you can assume they're speaking Japanese to each other, but it's written in English for the reader. But every once in a while, there would just be like a Japanese word thrown in there. Like, at one point they said ano instead of like a thinking noise. So in English we say when we're thinking, but in Japanese you say ano. And all the characters had said up until this point, and then suddenly one of the characters said ano. It just kind of jolted me out of the story. Like, why the sudden change? And there were a couple moments where Japanese was used that wasn't quite correct. Like, there's one scene where Misaki is she forgot something in her bag, and she says "mataku mo" to kind of express frustration. But in Japanese, you typically don't use that phrase towards like an object or towards yourself. You use it when you're frustrated with someone else. So if someone else had continuously forgotten something, you could say "mataku mo" to the person, but you don't say it to the object. So that really pulled me out of the story too. So I just don't know why Wang included those things, because the story would have been fine without them, and they weren't necessarily correct. There were a couple of other points where Japanese was used that didn't fit contextually with the situation. Like, the Japanese was technically grammatically correct, but I don't know, it didn't fit the context. So yeah, I guess that element really pulled me out, but I don't think that'd be an issue for many people. You know, if you don't speak Japanese, why would that bother you? So, you know, I think that was like a me issue there. But overall, like I said, it is an enjoyable read and I would recommend it to people. In my wrap-up, I'll kind of go into some more, you know, full-on thoughts, maybe throw in a couple spoilery things. But the character work was fantastic, and I definitely will remember some of the main characters, you know, for a really long time. So yeah, it was a good book. It was a solid book, and I'm glad that I read it. So this is going to be the last clip for this vlog. I honestly don't know how long this vlog has gone on. This is probably like a month-long vlog at this point, so like, I was just determined to finish a book before like I stopped this vlog. So I'm sure that the dates of, you know, when these clips were taken have disappeared throughout this video, and it's just like, I don't know what day it is anymore. But finally finished a book in this vlog, so we can now move on to the next one. But let me know in the comments down below what you thought, if there's anything you'd like to see more in these vlogs, particular aspects of them that you like, because I know I mix my life and reading kind of all together. So let me know what are the aspects that you really enjoy from these. But for now, I'm gonna head out. じゃあね。